All right, following Wednesday's sports wagering action, we're now 6-0 in our last 6 board member tier package bets on BrockPage.com. And the link for today's board member tier package bet is in the description section below. $1,000 bettors are up over $5,400 during that span. Now, the board member tier is an all-inclusive package that I offer on that website. And not only do you get access to my board member tier package bet itself, you also get access to every single bet that I give out on that webpage all the way through the end of February. Now, if you're not signed up for that package, or if you have no idea what I'm talking about, I'm going to explain a little bit more about it in just a moment. Before we go ahead and move on, just want to take a quick time out and welcome you to the video. My name is Brock Page, and I do sports picks for free right here on YouTube. I also sell my personal bets on BrockPage.com. I have packages on that website starting at just $1.99. Now, the purpose of these YouTube videos is to provide you with free informational sports betting content, and it's also designed to generate interest in signing up for a membership on my website. Now, you may be wondering what the difference is between what I do here on YouTube and what I do on my website. Well, what I do here on YouTube is I'll handicap the entire slate of games in any given sport, side and total, or most of the games at least. And then what I do on my website is, well, I actually share with you which one of these free YouTube picks on my channel that I'm actually betting on personally. And with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and get into some college basketball free content here for Friday. So let's go ahead and begin. We're going to start with Akron taking on Ohio. And that's going to be a 6 o'clock Eastern start time on Friday, February 25th, 2022. Ohio's -7 with a total at 131.5. But despite being exceptionally tough to beat here at home, the Ohio Bobcats do still have a losing record against the point spread at the Convocation Center. As a matter of fact, Ohio failed to cover in 5 out of their last 8 ball games at any location. And they've allowed 72 points per game on average in their last 10 meetings with Akron. And even though the Bobcats have been pretty sound defensively, they do tend to have some difficulties guarding the field goal at home. Now, they're taking on an Akron club on the other side of things who has a .600 win percentage on the road this year. And they actually play some of the toughest defense in the country. The Zips are currently in the top 10 in the nation in fewest road points allowed. They're also limiting their competition to just 40% shooting from the field when they travel. Now, when it comes to offensive production in this one, forward Ali is averaging over 13.5 points a game, along with 2 boards and a couple assists. He's also draining nearly 40% of his three-pointers. Meanwhile, Enrique Freeman's averaging over 13 points per contest himself, along with 11 big rebounds. And speaking of boards, Akron's currently in the top 30 in the nation in defensive rebounds per game. No real surprise there, especially with the consistent performance of Freeman. Now, total-wise, Akron did see overs recently with the likes of Bowling Green, Northern Illinois, and Toledo. Meanwhile, Ohio, on the other side of things, they saw 5 out of their last 9 get over the posted total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Akron +7 in the over 131.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Louisiana versus Georgia State. And that's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. Georgia State's -3 with a total at 141.5. Now, the Panthers are on a bit of a hot streak here recently. They're currently on a 6-game winning streak, and they successfully covered the point spread in 8 out of their last 9. Now, the Panthers have played some really good defense at home. As a matter of fact, Georgia State's allowing only 60 points a game at the GSU Sports Arena, and they're making only 38% of their field goals there. Now, when it comes to the scoring in this one, Corey Allen is averaging over 13.5 points a game, along with 3 rebounds and 3 assists. Meanwhile, Kane Williams, he's scoring 12 points a game himself, along with 3 boards. They're taking on a Ragin' Cajun team who's struggled a bit covering the number themselves. Louisiana's failed to cover in 7 out of their last 9 ball games, and they've really struggled with the Panthers in recent meetings. As a matter of fact, Louisiana lost 8 out of their last 10 games against GSU, and they allowed 86 points per contest during that stretch. Now, in addition to having a losing record on the road, the Cajuns are shooting just 40% from the field in those ball games. Now, when it comes to the total in this one, 8 out of Louisiana's last 13 road games fell under the posted number. Plenty of unders to go around here for the Ragin' Cajuns. Meanwhile, Georgia State on the other side, they're 73% to the under for the entire season. I'm going to lean toward Georgia State -3 and the under 141.5. Next contest here, it is going to be UL Monroe versus Georgia Southern. And that's going to be a 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. UL Monroe's -3, totals 136.5. But despite being favored by a bucket on the road, the Warhawks of ULM, they lost their last 4 straight, and they're also winning only 35% of their road games. Now, UL Monroe, they allow way too many points when traveling. These guys are giving up nearly 80 points a game on the road this year, and they're amongst the worst in the nation in road defensive boards. Now, they're taking on a Georgia Southern team who has a winning record at home themselves. They're actually playing some really tough defense there. As a matter of fact, the Eagles allow only 63 points a game in front of their home fans. They're also amongst the best in the Sun Belt in home defensive boards. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Georgia Southern's last 4 got over the posted number. Meanwhile, UL Monroe saw their last 3 straight get over the line themselves. 5-1 to the over in their last 6. I'm going to go ahead and lean toward Georgia Southern +3 and the over 136.5. Next matchup, it is going to be Big Ten action. Psych you out a little bit. Northwestern versus Penn State, 7 o'clock Eastern start time. Penn State's -2 with a total at 129. Now, the Nittany Lions have been pretty good in the Bryce Jordan Center this year. These guys are 9-4 straight up in Happy Valley, and they're limiting their competition to just 39% shooting from the field there. Now, scoring-wise, on the offensive end of the court, Jalen Pickett, he's averaging 13 points a game along with 4 boards and 4 assists. Meanwhile, Sam Sessoms is shooting 42% from 3 land himself. He's also scoring 11.5 points a game. They're taking on a Northwestern team who lost 6 of 9 on the road. They also allowed 74 points a game in those contests. Now, even more baffling than that, Northwestern's allowing their opponents to make nearly 43% of their three-pointers against them when they travel. Now, total-wise, Northwestern saw overs recently with Minnesota, Nebraska, and Rutgers. They also went 60% to the over in their last 10 against Penn State. Meanwhile, the Nittany Lions, on the other side of things, they saw overs recently with Iowa and Indiana. I'm going to lean toward Penn State -2 in the over 129. Next matchup, it is going to be St. Louis versus Richmond, 7 o'clock Eastern tip-off. St. Louis is -1, totals 146. But despite being the slight favorite in this one, the St. Louis Billikens have allowed way too many points when traveling this year. They're actually giving up 77 points a game on the road this season. And, of course, they struggled to guard the 3-ball away from home as well. St. Louis also suffered losses recently to the likes of Davidson and St. Bonaventure. They're taking on a Richmond team who limited the Billikens to just 68 points per contest in their last 10 head-to-head meetings. Richmond's also 10-3 straight up at home this year, and they're scoring nearly 75 points a game in those home contests. Tyler Burton is averaging over 16.5 points per game, along with 7 rebounds and nearly 40% shooting from 3-land. Meanwhile, teammate Grant Golden, he's averaging over 14.5 points per contest himself, along with 6 rebounds and 3 assists. Now, total-wise, 3 out of Richmond's last 4 got over the posted number. They also went 60% to the over in their last 10 meetings with St. Louis. So if you're into historical trends, you certainly want to think about that one there. Meanwhile, the Billikens, they saw overs recently with LaSalle, St. Bonaventure, and Dayton. I'm going to lean toward Richmond +1 in the over 146. Next matchup, a little more Sun Belt action. I'm talking about Appalachian State versus Arkansas State. And not on our big screen, but that's going to be an 8 o'clock Eastern start time. Arkansas State, they are -2 with the total at 130. Now, Arkansas State, they've played some really tough defense at home. Now, aside from going 10-3 straight up at the First National Bank Arena, these guys are also limiting their competition to just 63 points a game in their own building. Now, scoring-wise, Norshad Omier is averaging 17 points per contest, along with a dozen rebounds. Meanwhile, Desi Sills is scoring over a dozen points a game himself, along with 3 rebounds and 3 assists. They're taking on an Appalachian State team who failed to cover in 3 out of their last 5 ball games. And they're also playing just .500 basketball on the road. The Mountaineers have been pretty bad offensively. They're scoring only 65 points a game away from home. They're also making just 30% of their three-pointers in that same category. Now, total-wise, 4 out of Appalachian State's last 5 fell under the line. Meanwhile, the Arkansas State Red Wolves, they're 70% to the under as the official home team. I'm going to lean toward Arkansas State -2 in the over 130. Next contest, Big Ten action. I'm talking about Iowa versus Nebraska, 9 p.m. East. Iowa's -13, totals 161.5. But I'll tell you what, as good as Iowa's been offensively this year, these guys do have a losing record away from home. And they allow nearly 75 points a game in those road contests. Now they're taking on a Nebraska team who covered 10 times already at home this year, despite their current record. Now the Cornhuskers are also averaging 73 points a game at the Pinnacle Bank Arena. And when it comes to the offensive production in this one, Bryce McGowan's, he's averaging over 16.5 points per contest, along with 5 rebounds. Meanwhile, Alonzo on the verge, he's scoring 13 points a game himself, along with 4 boards and 5 assists. And when it comes to head-to-head meetings in this one, if you're into historical trends, Nebraska's actually averaged nearly 80 points a game in their last 10 go-arounds with Iowa. So these guys certainly prolific with the scoring against this Iowa team. Now, total-wise, Nebraska's gone just about 60% to the over in all of their ball games this year. They're also 9-1 to the over in their last 10 against Iowa. Meanwhile, the Hawkeyes, they saw 5 out of their last 8 get over the posted total themselves. I'm going to lean toward Nebraska +13 in the over 150. Nebraska +13 in the over 161.5. And with that, guys, we're going to jump into our next and final matchup for the show. It is going to be Texas State versus Troy. That's going to be a 9 o'clock Eastern start time. Texas State is -1, totals 129.5. But despite their current winning streak, the red-hot Texas State Bobcats have actually had some difficulties offensively on the road. Texas State scores only 67 points a game when they travel, and they're having a bit of a hard time grabbing offensive boards away from home. They're taking on a Troy team who's 10-2 straight up at home this year, and they're led by Ife Odaje, who's scoring almost a dozen points a game, along with 6 rebounds. Meanwhile, Duke Dean is averaging just about double-digit points a night himself, along with 2 boards and 3 assists. Now, total-wise, Troy's gone 70% to the under on their home court this year. They're also holding the Bobcats to just 63 points a game in their last 10 head-to-head meetings. Meanwhile, Texas State saw 3 out of their last 4 fall under the posted total themselves. Those were unders against the likes of South Alabama, Arkansas Little Rock, and UL Monroe. I'm going to lean toward Troy +1 in the under 129.5. And with that, guys, that's going to do it for me. Don't forget to check me out on BrockPage.com. If you guys do end up getting a membership here today on my website, just keep in mind you're going to get billed the day you sign up and then the first of every month following that. I always tell folks in every single video, the earlier in the month you sign up, the better. And guys, if you want to get access to every single pick that I give out on that website, you're going to want to sign up for my board member tier package. But most importantly, guys, got to thank you for joining me right here on YouTube. Really hope you enjoyed all this great free content, all this great free information. With that said, guys, happy Thursday or Friday to you, depending on when you're watching this. Best of luck to you. And I look forward to seeing you later on today on my website at brockpage.com.